Hey everyone, this week we are killing a hype beast. Stay put. Alright, as the title might suggest, I am talking today about red tobacco and red tobacco intense from Mancera, and I will just kind of state my bias right off the top here. I am not wild about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the scent. I don't think there's anything wrong with the composition. It doesn't smell cheap. I guess I can't say there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything cheap smelling about it. I don't think there's any off notes that make it smell bad. It just doesn't speak to me. So we're gonna dig into these, and then I'm gonna talk at the end about what I think is a better alternative. So I'm going to have, in one hand here on the right, I'm gonna have the regular one, and in the left I'm gonna have intense. So I'm gonna spray these real quick. You know, it's funny, the color of intense looks less intense. It's lighter, it's less red than regular red tobacco. So, if you're unfamiliar, the main players in these two scents are, I would say, tobacco, obviously, leather, and spices. There's also vanilla in there, but it's kind of a supporting character. So the other thing too, we can dig into the differences between the two of them. They are staggeringly close. Close enough that if you have one, you don't need the other, honestly. I kind of don't really understand the release. I feel like there's kind of a green apple in the opening of the original that kind of adds a little bit of sharp sweetness, and that's like the biggest difference that I can tell between the two of them. And without that green apple, it kind of makes the intense version come across as smoother, but not more intense. So the naming don't really get that. The thing I'll also say about these two, for me, they're not insane performers. They're not bad, but they don't set my world on fire. They're a little bit better than average, I would say, in terms of performance. Not bad, unremarkable, does nothing to grab me. I really wish it did. Again, there's nothing bad or cheap smelling about them, and they're kind of doing their own thing, but it's nothing that stands out. It's nothing that if I smelled it when someone walked by, I would turn my head and go, what is that? You know what I mean? Like it's a perfectly competent scent. I think it would work fine as an office scent, as a daily driver. It's fine if this is your thing, but I want to talk to you about something better. You know, it's funny, I was going to do a video about the comparison of these two and kind of did a couple of my own wearings of them side by side, and I'm like, I don't really know what there is to compare. They're so close. The intense is not more intense. It's smoother. I guess if I had to choose between the two of them, I actually prefer the intense because the green apple, the sharp sweetness of that doesn't really do much for me. But apart from that, they're really close. So I don't really feel a strong direction one or the other. I actually think I have a better solution for you that'll save you a bunch of money too. So again, this was actually just kind of lucky as I was putting together the video, thinking about this and my thoughts, and I was like, you know, I have a bunch of fragrances, I've got to have something better, and then derp, it occurred to me, I'm doing a giveaway right now, and I think one of the fragrances from the giveaway would be a better solution than red tobacco, and it would save you some money. That's a mere vibrant spicy tobacco from Paris Corner, the clone of Byredo's Tobacco Mandarin. As you might suggest, or as the name might suggest, it's also a tobacco scent. So here is what I would say about this. Get this over red tobacco. I mean, if you really want the Byredo, you could get that, but I actually chose this specifically, not the Byredo, for a reason. So I have compared this against the Byredo, which I have a bottle of that as well. And I think what I said at the time was that this struck me, the Paris Corner struck me as a slightly more masculine version of the DNA. They are very similar, very, very similar. This doesn't perform as well as the Byredo. The Byredo is an extrait and it acts like it, but this is still really great. This goes for hours. I get better performance out of this than red tobacco. And let me talk about why it's better. Red tobacco to me is kind of just this kind of boring. There's nothing really in it that stands out. There's nothing that grabs me. There's nothing that keeps my interest. It's just kind of meh. versus this DNA, which takes the tobacco thing. You still have the leather, you still have the tobacco. Instead of green apple or whatnot, you kind of swap in the syrupy sweet mandarin orange up at the top, which in this case kind of comes across as very syrupy. It's not like a orange juice kind of a thing. Like, this is a very syrupy sweetness. But then the tobacco in this is like a very ashy, dirty tobacco. Compare that to the Byredo, which to me is like a very clean, unburnt tobacco. And it comes across a little bit different as a result. I feel like this strikes me, the Paris Corner strikes me as a little bit more masculine. So it's like 30 or 40 bucks too. This is seriously one of my favorite scents. I think it does have I'll mention it does have a cumin note in it. It's less in this than in the Byredo though, so if that's something that disturbs you, this has less of it. But that being said, this composition wouldn't work without it. You need that kind of funky note in there to give this kind of this balance into this really beautiful composition. This DNA is phenomenal. So like, you want an interesting DNA, Mancera has sold 1 million bottles of red tobacco. It's a very popular one. Byredo sold a lot less bottles of that, and I'm sure Paris Corner sold even less. Vibrant spicy tobacco. You should check it out. It's better than red tobacco. It's better than red tobacco Intense. I think you will just be a happier person, and you'll have saved half the money that it costs for you to buy. Because if you buy a bottle from the discounters, you're gonna spend like 80 bucks or something like that. You'll spend 100 for the Intense version because it's newer or whatever. And like I said, this is like 30. So it's gonna be like 30 to 40, you know, it's got half or 30% of the price of a regular bottle of red tobacco, and it's better. It's more interesting. You're gonna wanna wear this more. Like, that's the thing. I feel like if I had bottles of red tobacco, there's just no instance where I would reach for that over this. This is just, does the same thing, operates in the same space, doesn't smell the same, but it operates in the same space, it does the same mission, has the same vibe. It's just a way better DNA, way more interesting, and no one talks about it. Very few talk about it. I don't know why, but it's so much better. Two things about this. One, if you think I'm wrong, go to last week's video, comment, like the video and comment and tell me that I'm wrong, and maybe you can win a bottle of this and I can change your mind. The other thing I'll say too is, this is a great idea that just came to me. So for the next couple weeks, I'm going to do something similar, I think, to highlight the other fragrances that I'm giving away for 1,000 subscribers, just because I bought those bottles and I want people to enter to win them because they're great. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a video, a more extended video talking about tobacco as a note. I have a handful of fragrances, this among them, that I think are worth a discussion. I think we get caught up too much, or it seems like there's too much hype around Tobacco Vanille, which is a fine scent, but I'll dig into why I think that it's a little bit played out in the video. That being said, thank you so much for joining me this week. Please go back to my giveaway video, like it, leave a comment, watch it. It's good stuff. There's good fragrances in there that I talk about that are a little known, that were recommended by people watching these videos. So go check that out, enter the giveaway, and maybe win something awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.